Good morning. This is Mark Reed. It is July 3rd, 2026, and I thought I would make a bit of a video about my sweet potatoes. I haven't made one for a while. I had written a couple of forum entries, garden forum entries, about some bad luck I had where I had lost some of my better, what I call the culinary group, because when I was putting them out to make their slips, I forgot to open the cold frame one morning and they kind of cooked. But first I'm going to look over here. I don't know if you can see him up there in that tree above the shed is a crow that I named Percy. Him and his wife Lucille are ordinarily well behaved, but a little bit ago I saw him fly over there and take a pear off of that tree and then fly back over. I can't even see him on my screen, so I don't know if he comes out. But anyway, when I had lost my slips, I thought that was a terrible disaster. But when you grow them from seeds and you have plenty of seeds, a loss like that isn't as bad of a disaster as you might think. So I had a bunch of what I call second-rate seeds because of when I collected them and I collected them. And I put them in this tub right here to sprout, and way more of them than I expected to sprout did sprout. I don't know how many plants are still in this tub, 6 or 8 or more. And then I transplanted some others over to this bigger tub where I had grown some peas earlier. The peas did real well. We ate several meals of them, and I got seed drying down upstairs. So before we get to the seed sprouted ones, I always like to look at my culinary group. And this one I call likes to climb. Likes to climb actually climbs. You see how it's twining around the wires there? It's the only sweet potato I've ever seen that actually climbs. And a lot of them, they'll grow up and lean against something and tangle themselves in a fence, but they don't actually climb like a bean does. This one, I'm calling Miss Bloom, but I think I'll change that name to something else. It came up, I think in 2022 from a seed, and Likes to Climb came up in 2024. So, like I said, those are just as they came up, way too crowded, but I'll be able to tell quite a bit about them as far as their phenotype. Over here is another little Likes to Climb in the ground. And Likes to Climb has a little bit different flower. This flower is smaller and much darker color than on most sweet potatoes. I like that. And I also started a row of better seeds down here, and some of these that came up late are still here, and others I had taken out and transplanted earlier. Here's one. You see the flower is much larger and lighter color than on Likes to Climb. So I transplanted a lot of them into these pots. These are just 3-gallon pots, but I've grown them in 3-gallon pots before and they do fairly well. I'll be able to determine the growth habit, color, flavor of roots, and all that from these. And if any of them is really good and I don't have enough root to feel comfortable saving it as a root for making slips the next year, I can just clip off a piece and save them as houseplants. Save the cuttings as houseplants. Here's some more of them. I guess these are bigger because the tubs are bigger. I don't know. I tried to be careful to get my moisture, to get my soil mixture similar on all of them. And there's a stinking lanternfly. These things are all over the place now. They don't seem to bother the garden. They like tree trunks, especially tree of heaven. But one eventually comes in here and lands once in a while anyway. Awful pretty little bug, but they sure are nasty. See if I can squish him. Probably not because they hop. They got a variety of leaf colors, growth habits. And then down here is one of my culinary roots that I managed to save from. This one is V25. That just means that it volunteered last year instead of me starting it from a seed. And then this one, V26. That's wrong. This is V24, I think, is when it came up volunteer. And then this one, no, that's right, this is V26. This was the first volunteer this year, and the only volunteer that I planted. So the rest are just growing wherever they're growing. And then this one volunteered in 2024. It has a real great clump root habit that I've talked about before. See, it's getting ready to start blooming. Got some in the shade and some in the sun, trying to figure out which is best for the heat and the drought, the watering situation. I watered them all this morning. Here I got another big tub of my culinaries. Likes to climb and miss bloom. It's hard for me with the sun to get my camera working good. They haven't started blooming a whole lot yet, but they're getting their buds. Yes, there's buds down in there. And this is some extras of one of the cloned plants that I just never got around to doing anything with. See, the color of these leaves kind of bleached out from being dry, and I've let it go dry a couple of times. But it's actually the same plant as this one, which growing in the tub looks a lot better. So, and this one was a volunteer from 2025. It's got an ivy leaf and a large white root with orange skin. And this is another of the same one over there. Volunteered in 24, has a great clump, blooming nicely. The bees have been here and left. They're morning critters. Maybe they don't like the sun, but they've been here. And these are all seed grown. And they're doing well. And this one's getting ready to bloom. It's funny about sweet potatoes. They, a lot of them keep their seed leaves until they, almost their entire lifetime they keep their seed leaves. I don't see them on this one now. See a little bit of color on the root there. And then the extras I didn't want to discard them, so I made this bed and planted them here in the ground. They also are overcrowded, but there's a variety. Some are starting to be viney, some of them look like they want to be bushy, which is what I prefer. And then here with these sticks, that's where the turtles are, or were. When I was getting this bed ready, I found a clutch of snapping turtle eggs in there, and I didn't want to disturb them, so I put those sticks in. Yep. And then last is one of my favorite culinary. I call it plant number 10. It was very similar, almost so exactly similar to one that I called plant number 11, but I'm not sure they weren't the same, that I'd accidentally got them misnamed. But this is my favorite culinary one, so I'm glad that it survived. It's blooming. And I just always grow them in these mass polycultures. So whoever pollinates with whoever else is up to them and the bees. So anyway, what started out maybe kind of a bit of a disaster this year. Turned out not so bad. I'm happy with the progress so far. So, little bee of some kind up here. The primary pollinators are bumblebees, but little bees too. I don't know if you can see them down in there. Help out. The way the flower is shaped, you see the pollen is below the stamen, if that's the correct term. So without the bees, even if a sweet potato is self-compatible, it's likely not to get pollinated because gravity doesn't work that way. Anyway, I don't know. I have to play this back to see if it comes out all right with me shaking it around and the sun being so intense. But that's a quick thing about sweet potatoes for 2026. Bye.